Last time we talked, we had a chaotic, but I hope helpful conversation about a 5-word phrase that you better not say unless you're prepared to duck or dodge things being thrown at you by your spouse. And it's the 5-word phrase of, it's never enough for you. And it's said like this. And so if you haven't watched the first part of this mini-series, you got to go watch that, because a lot of this won't kind of carry the weight of it like it does in the first one, which sets you up for this one, and the 5-word phrase of, it's never enough for you. We spout that off to our spouse back and forth, and it opens up an enormous can of confusion, hopelessness, blame, anger, despair, and incredible frustration at the fact that we can't gain any momentum. Last time, I was pretty aggressive towards the unfaithful spouse and what they feel and why they say it's never enough for you. Today I want to really kind of hone in on the betrayed spouse, because I had Samantha say that to me. Not as common, not as often, not as frequent as when I would say it, but she would say it, and when she said it to me, I wanted to break something. I wanted to find something in my house that I could kick like a soccer ball up against the wall, because it just tapped into gross inadequacy and insecurity, self-hatred, self-loathing, so many things. And so today I want to talk about maybe why the betrayed spouse will say it to their spouse. And again, I don't pretend to be an expert at all of the exhaustive reasons why a betrayed spouse may say this. So if I miss one, if you are out there and you're like, well, I think this is another reason why a betrayed spouse says this, by all means, say it graciously, because I'm always open for feedback and insight, and all of our viewers and the members of our community need to hear it for sure. Let's see, the betrayed spouse gets frustrated as well. The betrayed spouse is fighting their own self-war, which prompts them to look for a way to feel better about themselves, and there's a moment where they're trying to manage their own self-esteem, their own insecurity, their own self-hatred, self-loathing, and all the different, emotions that are going on. So they will say to their spouse, it's never enough for you. And a lot of times, that is a way to manage their own emotions. And so here's some of the reasons that a betrayed spouse will say this. And tell me, obviously, if I'm wrong. So one of the reasons why the betrayed spouse will kind of spout off, it's never enough for you, is because what a lot of people don't understand, unless you're a betrayed spouse, is you're constantly fighting the battle of comparison to the affair partner or affair partners. Now, we all fight feelings of inadequacy, even if there's not betrayal or infidelity. We, as human beings, fight a war of, am I enough? Okay, so that's just the underpinning of life in general. Then you throw infidelity in the mix. And the betrayed spouse is constantly waging a battle of feeling inferior and feeling like they're not enough and feeling like they're in comparison to the affair partner or the way the affair partner looked, talked, communicated, all of those different things. So when there's a communicative moment by the unfaithful of any kind of frustration or feeling as though their needs are not being met, immediately the betrayed spouse will get triggered and say, it's never enough for you, because they're fighting this battle of comparison non-stop. One of the best things an unfaithful can do is really clue into the fact that they constantly, some days more than others, are struggling with feelings of inadequacy. And so when they are triggered, man, they've got to find a way to manage that pain. And a lot of times, if they haven't had the right help, or if they're not healthy enough, one of the best things to do is slam you and say, it's never enough for you. Another reason the betrayed spouse will revert to this statement is they're fighting a battle anyway. They're wrestling with so many feelings of just confusion and is there hope? Is there a future? Can we ever be healed? Are we ever going to be able to get past this? There's, anywhere from 80 to 110 different reminders all day long, every day, early on in recovery anyway. And so they're fighting this battle. And so there's this moment where they get triggered. Let's say an unfaithful says, I just am frustrated. We don't have enough sex, and you don't seem engaged enough in sex, or what have you. And then the betrayed's like, you have no idea the war I'm fighting. You have no idea all the things that I'm wrestling with. And then I hear from you that you're unfulfilled, and now I'm circling the drain because you, unfaithful, have no clue that me, the betrayed, are locked in battle all day, sometimes all night, with inferiority complexes and struggles and fears and work, and trying to rectify the feelings I have of, I shouldn't have to do all this. He or she did this. Why do I have to do work? It was their fault and their issues and their choices, and why do I have to do anything? Another reason the betrayed will revert to this is that deep down inside, in moments that they don't really want to talk about, or that they'll only talk about with a couple of people, is the real concern and worry is, are we going to be able to make it through this? Like, are we going to get to the other side, ever? Will we ever be able to stop fighting, or stop being triggered, or stop lashing out? Will we ever not be in therapy? Will we ever not be in a 12-step group? Will we ever not be having to spend all this money and all this inconvenience? And so when there's anything legitimate or illegitimate that is said by the unfaithful at the right time, it can produce this cataclysmic explosion of, you know what, it's never going to be enough, it's never going to work, why are we even trying to do this? And then that triggers something that used to always trigger Samantha, was this moment where it was like 3 words: I knew it. I knew it wasn't enough. I knew you couldn't be happy. I knew you couldn't get over this. I knew you couldn't be satisfied with me. I knew you couldn't understand me. I knew that you would stop going to therapy. I knew that you would stop communicating with our therapist. I knew that you would not stop communicating with the affair partner. And I knew that you would not do all these things. And it taps into this suspicion that you had as a betrayed spouse, that all of this was in vain. And so the response is, I knew that this would happen because of the fact that we just could not get on the same page. And because it's never enough for you. So this is heavy today. I'm not trying to piss you off. I'm trying to tap into the reasoning behind we, both sides, revert to a ripcord, if you will, of it's never enough for you. In the next vlog that comes out, I'm going to share some thoughts on how to overcome this and how to get through to the other side.